Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Bonetto Cinturini RX01 rubber strap. This rubber strap is specifically made to fit the Rolex Submariner date and the Yacht-Master 40. However, I have been experimenting this week with trying it on various watches, including this Pagani design PD1692, and as you can see it fits it to perfection. So firstly, I'll give you the background to the brand and I'll explain their business model. Bonetto Cinturini are based in Vicenza in Italy, and for the last 40 years they have been making top quality rubber straps for various watch brands. Now unfortunately Bonetto Cinturini do not retail the watch straps directly to collectors via their website. They wholesale the custom made watch straps to watch brands, and then the watch brands sell the watches on their rubber straps. So for example, their business model would be a watch brand would approach them and place an order for 1,000 pieces of a rubber strap like this RX01, and Bonetto Cinturini would custom make that 1,000 order batch, and they would either brand it with Bonetto Cinturini's brand or alternatively the watch brand's name, depending on what the customer wants. So why the interest in the RX01? Well, it's a new product from Bonetto Cinturini and it's custom made to fit the Rolex Submariner and the Yacht-Master 40, as I've explained. So I contacted them and asked them to send me a sample strap to look at, and they sent me two straps, this Verde Militaire, which is green military RX01, and they also sent me a black version which I fitted to the Pagani design PD1692 to demonstrate. And with the strap they also sent me the specification of the strap. So the strap is made from NBR rubber, which is nitrile butadiene rubber. Now I'll explain something about rubber straps. You will all be familiar with silicone rubber straps, often low-cost rubber straps which are made in China. For example, the kind of rubber straps you see for sale on AliExpress. They will be made from silicone rubber, which is very inexpensive. Now it's very soft and supple, so silicone rubber is very comfortable. The negative of silicone rubber is it's not as chemical resistant and resistant to seawater, and the other thing is it's not as durable as higher grades of rubber. So Bonetto Cinturini have 40 years of experience in blending rubber and moulding rubber straps, and they use higher grade of rubber such as NBR, which is nitrile butadiene rubber, rather than using low-cost silicone rubber. So this RX01 strap is made from NBR rubber, and as you can see it has Bonetto Cinturini embossed on the underside and also made in Italy. So these straps really are made in Vicenza in Italy. They're not made in China and then imported to Italy and then distributed from Vicenza. They actually have a factory in Vicenza. So around the spring bar end is an area where silicone rubber straps often split and crack because the rubber is very soft and supple. But as you can see on this RX01 it's reinforced, and therefore the webbing means that it's not going to split and crack around the spring bar. So NBR rubber, nitrile butadiene rubber, is stiffer. It feels stiffer and harder than silicone rubber, but it's still very soft and supple. Now I'm familiar with Rolex Oysterflex rubber straps, which are very high grade. I'm also familiar with aftermarket Rolex straps such as Rubber B and Everest, which are considered the very best in the world. And I can tell you that this RX01, in terms of quality of the rubber, is equal in quality to a Rolex Oysterflex strap, or alternatively Rubber B or Everest strap. The rubber does feel soft and supple despite being tougher than silicone rubber, and I absolutely love the vanilla scent. Bonetto Cinturini produced this in two versions, unscented and alternatively vanilla scented, and I can say the vanilla scent is just absolutely gorgeous. So as you can see, in one end it has a hole for the screw pin, which normally would go through the oyster lock clasp or alternatively a glide lock clasp. The screw pin goes through this end, and then on the other end, which one can cut to length, we have several holes where the spring bar goes through. So one can cut it to length either using a scissors or alternatively a sharp knife such as an X-Acto knife to trim the strap to length. So it's like a bespoke strap. One can tailor fit it to get the perfect wrist size. Now obviously when fitting this to a Submariner or Submariner date, it has a glide lock clasp, and therefore one doesn't need to cut it to length because one can use the glide lock mechanism to fine tune the fit. On the Rolex Yacht-Master 40 it doesn't have the glide lock mechanism in the clasp, so therefore one does need to cut it to length. And they've made it very easy because one can just use these lines to cut it with a scissors or a sharp knife, and then insert the spring bar into the respective hole to get the perfect fit with the clasp. So it is a flexible strap, it doesn't require any breaking in, and it's very smooth. So therefore, wearing the strap for long periods of time, it feels very comfortable. It doesn't become sticky or sweaty, and that's something that I like about nitrile butadiene rubber. Silicone rubber straps, when one's wrist sweats in warm weather, for example, or when one is active, they become very sticky, and it's an unpleasant feeling to wear a silicone rubber strap. But with these NBR rubber straps made from nitrile butadiene rubber, they don't have that effect. And also there is a cutout on the underside, and that allows for some air circulation and allows for sweat and perspiration to wick away from the wrist. So they're sweat resistant, they're also chemical resistant and seawater resistant. So the NBR rubber is better quality than silicone rubber. Now I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how the black one looks on my wrist, and I can tell you it's incredibly comfortable. It is a tight fit to get across my 8-inch wrist, so I'm just going to remove my glove, and as you can see, I was able to fit the flip lock clasp from the Pagani design perfectly. It's the perfect size for a Pagani design watch, and it will also be the perfect size, of course, for the Rolex Submariner glide lock clasp and also the Yacht-Master oyster lock clasp. So it fits very well. In one end we have a screw pin as per the bracelet, and then on the other end we have a 16mm by 1.5mm spring bar. Now I have to confess, when I removed the spring bar from this Pagani design clasp, it fell apart, and therefore I couldn't reuse it, which was very frustrating. So because I wanted to test out this RX01, I wanted to actually wear it on a watch for a week and just see how it feels. So I had to wait for some replacement spring bars to come, 16mm by 1.5mm size. And as you can see, it makes adjusting inside the clasp very easy. There are 3 micro adjustment dimples inside the Pagani design clasp, and one can also use the various holes in the end of the strap. So in the longest position, the maximum extension of the strap, as you can see, it fits my 8-inch wrist perfectly. And I like to size my straps and bracelets loose, as you'll know from my previous reviews, so that I can fit an index finger underneath the clasp at all times. So this would actually fit up to an 8.5-inch wrist, because I can fit an index finger, which adds another 1/2 inch to the length. But I like to wear the straps loose, as you can see, and on the maximum extension it fits my 8-inch wrist, no difficulty whatsoever. Now I'm sure you'll agree, it looks very aesthetically pleasing. Although this is specifically made to fit the Submariner and Submariner Date and the Yacht-Master 40, the curved profile of the end of the strap perfectly matches the Yacht-Master and Submariner case. It also fits this Pagani design PD1692 very well, and it's a nice alternative to wearing a leather strap, rubber strap, or alternatively NATO strap with a gap. Now, one thing I dislike about rubber straps is there is a gap with straight end straps between the head of the piece and the spring bar, but with this curved end which integrates inside the lugs, one doesn't have that abhorrent gap. It looks more integrated to the head of the piece. And I can tell you, it's one of the most comfortable rubber straps I have ever worn on a watch. I've previously reviewed several rubber straps, including the Barton Elite, which is a personal favourite because it's very soft and supple rubber. I like the comfort level of it, I like the look of it, but I can tell you that this strap, which is made from NBR rubber, nitrile butadiene rubber, the RX01, is several levels above the Barton Elite strap in terms of the quality of the rubber. It just feels stiffer, but it's so smooth, and the taper on it means that it fits the wrist very well. In terms of quality, yes, I would say it's equal in quality to a Rolex Oysterflex strap, or alternatively an Everest or rubber B strap. Nice matte finish to it, it's not glossy and shiny. Now, there's one thing I really like about this NBR rubber, and I've noticed it after wearing the watch for extended periods of time. Often with silicone rubber straps, they tend to attract lint and fluff, and it sticks to the rubber, and one has to keep brushing the lint and the fluff off, and it's like the static attracts the fluff to stick to the rubber. With this NBR rubber strap, it doesn't have that problem. Lint and fluff doesn't stick to it, and it's like it doesn't become statically charged and attract dust and lint particles to it. So one doesn't get that annoying attraction. One doesn't get lint and dust and fluff sticking to it. It permanently remains looking like this. So I really like that aspect. Now the vanilla sensor is just absolutely gorgeous, and the benefit is one can fit any clasp to it. I fitted this Pagani design clasp, as you can see, no play whatsoever in it. So for example, this could be fitted to several other Rolex watches, not just the Submariner Date or the Yacht-Master 40, and homages to the Submariner Date and the Yacht-Master, such as Pagani design watches. I've also tried this on a Pagani design PD1694 this week, and it fits the lugs to perfection. So very comfortable, and I was actually pleasantly surprised it fits my 8-inch wrist. I thought it was going to be too short, because I thought, well, it's probably made to fit collectors with the average wrist size of 6 to 7 inches. It's not going to fit a large 8-inch wrist, but as you can see, it does actually fit up to an 8-inch wrist. It would go to even 8.5 on maximum extension. So comfort level's good, and feel good factor's good. Now, the only negative really is it's a shame that Bonetto Cinturini don't retail the straps, and I've actually suggested to them they should consider doing this, because I'm sure that many collectors would like to purchase the straps directly from Bonetto Cinturini. The way their business model is structured is that they have a MOQ, a minimum order quantity, and they also have a wholesale price per piece. Now, I'm privy to those, but I'm not going to reveal those because they're private to brands. But what they do is they need a watch brand to place an order of, say, 1,000 pieces, and then they can put the watch strap into production, because obviously moulding 1,000 straps is very time consuming, and therefore when they set up the machinery to do it and when they blend the rubber, they need to have a good length of production run to justify the setup, the tooling and the blending of the rubber. So if a watch brand approaches them and places an order of 1,000 pieces, yes, they can justify the production cost and then they can go to work. But it's not as viable to produce smaller batches and retail them directly to the customer. Although the retail price would mean more profit margin, it would mean that the production cost would be higher. If they're making batches of 50 pieces of each colour of this RX01 strap, it would mean they have to keep changing the blend of the rubber in the machinery, and therefore it's more time consuming and laborious to produce small batches. Easier to make 1,000 of one colour, such as black or green for example, and then the machinery just needs one blend of rubber. So something I'm looking into. Now, I've taken an interest in these kind of integrated rubber straps to fit Rolex watches because, as you know, after the Chinese New Year, my WR4K Iron Watch RX8004 will be released on AliExpress. Now that comes on a bracelet, but something I've been considering is, could it also be offered on an integrated rubber strap like this with a curved end and also a Rolex style clasp? Because as you can see, it's a very good look. The curved end on the RX01 fitting the head of the piece with no gap whatsoever, a nice tight fit to the in between the lugs, and also the curved end fits very tightly to the case. I think this is a great look, and it's a look that I would like to try on my WR4K Iron Watch when it arrives. I'm going to be trying the RX01 on it to see how it fits, because that uses a very similar Rolex style clasp. It uses a flip-lock clasp. There's no glide lock extension, and it is sterile, but it is the same design as this Pagani design clasp. It's the classic Rolex flip-lock clasp. So I'm going to test it out on my WR4K Iron Watch in due course to see does it fit, because in the future I would like to retail it on a high grade of rubber strap. I don't want to put it on a low quality silicone rubber strap made in China, which isn't going to last. I would prefer to put it on a high grade of Rolex Oysterflex level clasp like this, made from BTR rubber. So really that's all I have to say with regards to the RX01. I consider it to be excellent quality and I consider it to be excellent value. Unfortunately, I can't reveal the wholesale price and the MOQ of it because that is only for watch brands to know. But I can tell you it's very competitive with the Rubber B and also the Everest straps, which are Swiss made. I regard it as better quality in terms of the value than the Rolex Oysterflex. I think the quality of the rubber is good or even better, but of course the price is significantly less expensive. And I like the versatility of it because one can simply put this on any Rolex watch, the Submariner, Submariner Date, Yacht-Master 40, and I'm sure it will fit many others as I've demonstrated with this. So for example, it has a 20mm lug width, so potentially this could also fit an Explorer 214270 with a 39mm case, because that has a very similar lug profile to this PD1692. So I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Bonetto Cinturini RX01 rubber strap. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.